Hello and welcome to this very special edition of the national debate that we're bringing to you from Kolkata, right from the Ganga itself. Which way is the politics of West Bengal flowing is the big question in the midst of this assembly election. Well, the first phase has shown a record turnout, over 90% of votes that have been cast in the first phase. Will this trend continue in the second phase, and what do we attribute to this? Well, Prime Minister Modi has said that this is because of the faith that people of Bengal have reposed in the BJP. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee says that it is reposing faith in the governance of the TMC in the state of West Bengal. But whatever be the reason, is S.I.R also one of the factors that is leading to this kind of a turnout on ground? To talk about that and other issues relating to the West Bengal election, joining us is a very special panel of guests. With us is Shatrupa, BJP candidate from Baliganj. Also to my right is Dr. Fuad Halim, leader of CPM. Kamruzaman Chaudhary is a political analyst who is joining us. To my left is Saurav Chandar, national spokesperson of the TMC. We also have with us Pratim Ranjan Bose, senior journalist and columnist. Advocate Niladri Bhattacharya, lawyer and political analyst, is also with us. Let me start with you first, Shatrupa. What do we attribute to this kind of record-breaking turnout? Is it just the S.I.R? Is there a silent wave on ground, or are there other factors?
First of all, Madhav, thank you for having me on this show. And especially having me on the Ganga, I always get very emotional about this. To answer your question directly, Madhav, I've been on your show several times where we have discussed voter turnout and what it kind of denotes. This time, I will say two things. One is, of course, every time there is a large voter turnout, it is usually against the ruling power, the incumbent, anti-incumbency votes. Secondly, I will say that this has been history of kinds. This has been the largest turnout in any state post-independence India. So therefore, I will say that it is a kind of victory of democracy. People have voted. They've voted happily in a safe and secure environment. So irrespective of whatever happens on the 4th of May, I would, of course, second the opinions of my two largest leaders, the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, who've been saying that the votes are indicative of a massive landslide victory for BJP. But as of now, since I am contesting in the second phase, I will say that it is a major victory for people who have voted in a very safe and secure environment. So kudos to Election Commission of India.
Okay, kudos to Election Commission. Saurav, you share that view. It's because of a safe environment that people were able to, without any fear, cast their vote. That's the perception coming in from the BJP side. You agree?
So, first and foremost, very good evening to all of you, to my fellow panelists, to you. Of course, I do not agree with my learned friend from the BJP. The reason is very simple. The high voter turnout, and this is my personal opinion, others may disagree with me. The high voter turnout, I see it this way, that it is because of the S.I.R that this number that you see, this increase, this incremental voting that you see, I attribute this to the fact that this is a kind of revenge voting which is taking place. So the fear that if I don't vote this time around, I will not be able to cast my vote in future, or the fact that in a democracy, my right, my constitutional right to vote is being perceived to be taken away by the Election Commission in cahoots with the BJP. That is the perception which has gone to the people. And my understanding, my limited understanding, tells me that the people, frustrated as it were, have come out in large numbers to cast their vote.
So you are saying that you have been able to convince the people that this S.I.R is taking away their vote, and that is the anger reflected in this kind of
we have stated the truth. I agree with you. We have stated the truth, and we strongly believe that legitimate voters have been excluded, and people who have found themselves finally after all of this.
Kamruzaman Chaudhary, you agree with that perception that Mamata Banerjee will be able to convince the people of Bengal, says the TMC, that S.I.R is going to take away their right to vote, and that is why people are coming in large numbers?
No, you need to be a Bengali first to understand the Bengal's voting dynamics of the state. Basically, the point where people, rather my political friends, they are missing out here is the perception that has been created right from the NRC-CA days, that every piece of document that you can cling upon to is very vital for your existence, as your identity itself is in question. in Bengal. People have come from far off places like Kerala, Jammu and Kashmir, Delhi, Surat, Assam, just to cast their votes. It's not because of love of Narendra Modi, nor for the love of Mamata Banerjee. Just to vote and make their presence felt in the state. That's one number factor. The second number factor was what I feel from an opposition space is it was an anger vote. Anger vote in some constituencies where BJP got the votes, it was against Mamata Banerjee's ruling governance. Where TMC got the votes, it was against the BJP's central rule that was there. Now here comes the big important play out here, where there was a third alternative available like what we saw yesterday in Malda, Murshidabad or Dinajpur district. Congress was doing very, very good, far more ahead than expected. That's the perception that we are getting from first phase of polling. And I believe in the second phase also, people will be voting decisively against both the central government along with the TMC government wherever there is an alternative.
Okay. Pradeep Ranjan Bose, you agree with that perception that in different constituencies these issues are playing out differently? He says in certain issues, TMC is getting the lead, in certain places it's the BJP. But the fact is that is this a silent wave as some political observers are seeing? Because the unprecedented numbers, what do you attribute it to?
Madhav, first of all, as a Bengali, I'm happy to one thing. I think West Bengal, it is understated, it is untold. For 6 decades, we are living in a cycle of violence. We are India's most disturbed state, unfortunately so. And vote has become synonymous to killings and violence. So I am very happy to note that this year's election has passed without violence. Number 2, it is the only state where electioneering, a term has emerged. So you don't vote. Political parties know how to make you vote.
Right.
So for the first time, the bogus voting is out. So whosoever wins is a pure popular aspiration vote. Second part is about whether what is underplaying. There are such, first of all, only everyone will know whether it is after May 4. So before that, talking is risky. I can only tell you something. I would tell you something. I'm sure you have done your math. That in West Bengal, traditionally, the Muslim vote percentage, if you see in the particular areas, so you will see it was always close to 90%, 88%, 90%. So this has always been the case. Hindu vote has, by all studies, was below. For the first time, what I am noticing is that all sides have voted in equal measure. And just a classic example is Asansol South, Asansol North. Both reported 88% polling. There is a difference in demography between them. So Bankura, barely minority, it has voted 93%. Murshidabad voted 94%. Even within Murshidabad, the trend is not secular. There are at least 3 constituencies where the polling rate is 84, 88.
So what will the impact of that be?
Right. So that is why I mentioned this, that it may not be a secular trend all across.
Okay.
If we assume that it is a secular trend, but yes, there is an anti-incumbency wave, which I feel even while coming by the cab driver, a Bihari, so he was telling me that he was a TMC voter. This time he is going to vote for the other party.
Is there a change? Fuad Halim, is there a change? And what do these demographics really mean to you in terms of what Pratim is saying?
Well, this vote seems to be a vote given in seething anger, absolute anger. Because you have to understand that more than 90 lakh people have been disenfranchised here in West Bengal. And you have to see that the BJP is seen in West Bengal as one of the main proponents of this disenfranchisement. Secondly, Mamata Banerjee, who had promised that no S.I.R will take place in West Bengal, has not gone down well with the voters of West Bengal. So this seething anger is going to reflect itself in the ballot box. You have to understand, of the 90 lakh people who have been removed from the list, other 3 family members are going out to vote. And they have made a beeline for the polling booth. They have come from Gujarat, they have come from Kerala, they have come from all states, and they are making a beeline for the polling booth. And if you see, of the 91 lakhs that have been disenfranchised, the majority are from Hindu families, are Hindu voters. The minority are the Muslim voters. So this anger is going to be reflected. The second point you have to keep in mind here very, very clearly in Bengal, that if you kill a communist, it's not considered as violence. Like we had my previous friend say there's been no violence in this election despite us losing one comrade in Dinajpur. So it's very easy for everybody in power, whether it be in the center of the state or people who support those types of ideologies, to consider the communist life not to be a life valuable enough.
That is correct. Even one death is one death too many. But is it a fact for the Lim that the numbers have come down? Incidents of violence have come down?
Let me finish. Now this seething anger that the people of West Bengal are going to reflect in the ballot box is also going to be impacted by the fact that the CPIM is the only party that actually bought a victory even before the elections took place. Mustari Banu of Murshidabad was a CPIM family member who went to court in Supreme Court and actually brought the right back for those who will vote on the 23rd. If the tribunal finds them fit, they will get the right to vote. And those who will vote on the 29th, they up to 27th, if they are found to be fit by the tribunal, they will get their right to vote. So franchisement or maintaining the vote for the voters is the function that the CPIM has protected. Neither the BJP nor the Trinamool has done anything about it. So that when the ballot box opens in Bengal, you're going to see a non-BJP, non-TMC reflection that's going to come across
everywhere. Happen? That is, of course, a very different point. Before I come across to Niladri, you want to respond to that, Shatrupa? Yeah. How the S.I.R has impacted on ground?
I actually wanted to respond to two things. One what Fuad said and one what Pratimdas said. One is, yes, S.I.R will have an impact, but I think to look at, one should look at this in a broader horizon. There have been these 4 Ds which I've talked about even on your channel: the dead voters, defective voters, duplicate voters, and domicile in question. As far as the constituency that I represent, Baliganj, there are several Muslims who, in fact, the entire Muslim population in Baliganj lives here, and they chose India at the time of partition. So there's no question of them being, deleted just because they've come from outside. Domicile doesn't come in here. But there have been across West Bengal, these people have been, the dead voters, defective voters, duplicate voters have been deleted. Now, whether they have the others who have reacted or not remains to be seen. But what Pratimda said is very, very correct, that Bengal elections means that entire national media jumps onto the scene. Here is one very gory battle which is going to happen. I'm not blaming you, I'm blaming the state and the way the state machinery has been run by both CPM as well as Trinamool now. It is very sad. As a Bengali, I feel like hanging my head down in shame whenever elections come across. There has been a marked difference this time in phase 1. There have been certain very, very unfortunate incidents like Shubhendu Tutulda, Dokhin Dinajpur ex-president. He has been beaten up, harassed by certain voters. But apart from that, by and large, West Bengal is astounded. I'm sure media couldn't find very many gory scenes to, transmit. So this, I think, is a victory of people. Okay. And like I've kept on saying, my honorable state president has repeatedly been saying, this time it is a battle between the people of Bengal and the ruling government. They have decided that the Trinamool is going to go. It's almost like a predetermined verdict. That is a reflection of what you saw in the first phase. 92% in some regions they have voted. This is history being created. Right. We are witnessing history now.
Okay, and it's very interesting to know that all of this is happening even as the CAPF presence, the Central Armed Paramilitary Forces presence in West Bengal is maximum. It is in fact just about 30% less than what we saw in the previous Lok Sabha election. And therefore, Niladri Bhattacharya, I'd like to bring you in on this because the huge presence of security forces, which TMC of course has been commenting on, but on ground, was that really required? Because that is what has perhaps led to this largely violence-free election. Of course, there are certain incidents that have been referred to by the panelists.
So see, Madhav, there is definitely a high deployment of CAPF forces this time, for which we have definitely seen that there has been less violence. Let's put it that way. But while having said that, please understand that this S.I.R, even though it may have given us a purified list, it is an incomplete list. You must understand 27 lakh people are still pending under adjudication. And if by the trends as to what goes, out of 139 appeals, 136 has been disposed of, and those have found a way back into the voting list. So it shows that an exercise which is conducted very hurriedly leaves around people and disenfranchises them. It is a sad day for democracy. This is not what we expect from a democratic country like ours. Secondly, Madhav, I feel there is high voter turnout Earlier, the gap between TMC and BJP was around 4%. But this 10% excess what has come out, it is a revenge voting against the BJP, where the BJP has failed to understand the Bengali Asmita, the Bengali sentiments. They failed and they misread it. And that is why people have come out in large numbers to vote against the BJP. It is a vote against S.I.R, against the harassment which people had to have because of this hurriedly conducted exercise.
Okay, S.I.R is a hurriedly conducted exercise. People are angry about it. Once again, that question coming up, and how is the BJP going to counter this entire narrative in the next phase of polls?
No, firstly, it was not at all a hurried procedure. Had Mamata Banerjee and Abhishek Banerjee and the rest of the Trinamool goons not harassed the BLOs, in fact, you have seen, I think I had a show with you also, that where a local Trinamool representative actually went and beat up the BDO where it was happening. He stopped the hearings. So had they not, constantly been interrupting and traumatizing the people who were conducting this process, it probably would have been a very smooth affair. It is because these people had to go and rush to High Court and then Supreme Court and unnecessarily just make sure that they delayed the process. This is why the whole thing probably got awry. But again, kudos to Election Commission and Supreme Court of India for having brought it back on track. As far as this narrative of Bengali Oshmita that Mamata Banerjee has been saying, I wish Mamata Banerjee, before blaming the actual non-Bengalis, I mean, there is no denying the fact that the Chief Minister, the Prime Minister of India, the Home Minister of India are not Bengalis, and they're not supposed to be. They are, whichever state they come from, they represent, they run the whole country, of which Bengal is part of. So therefore, I only wish that Mamata Banerjee would pull up her socks as far as her knowledge of Bengali is concerned and talk Bengali, not use these abusive languages which is not really Bengali. She's invented some peculiar words. I've not even heard these words, and the vocabulary that she uses is not the typical Bengali culture that one boasts of, that I definitely boast of. This is not the culture that I would speak in. Body shaming, using abusive languages on the two leaders of the nation, irrespective. You may not like my party, you may not like somebody in person, but you are holding the highest possible seat in the state. Right. So therefore one expects a certain amount of Bengali civility from the Chief Minister of West Bengal. That doesn't happen.
Chief Minister, the other leaders also.
Everybody. Again, you're interrupting me.
It cuts both ways.
Again, you're interrupting me.
Even this is not.
No.
None
of our leaders have gone into personal attacks. None of our leaders have gone into
woman
personal
Chief Minister
attacks.
of the country.
No, what is the personal attack? One second, let's go one by one. What is the personal attack according to you?
The way they demean her during the public election speeches.
Saying what?
We all understand what sarcasm is there. We understand what sarcasm is there, and that is not done. It does not give. Yesterday only the Home Minister said that after 4th of June, after 4th of May, ulta latka ke. This is not.
They didn't talk about her.
This is not.
No, you know there is a Bengali
Personal comments about the leaders.
And the way you keep on saying, "Oh, Didi, Mota," this is not done.
Mota, Hodol Kutkut, all sorts of things.
See, if you point one finger at yourself,
I think
three
pretty much
fingers
everyone
will
can
be pointed at
understand. You should respond on that, Saurabh. Why use this kind of language at all? Personal attacks on leaders, is that acceptable?
So is Mota Bhai an abuse?
What is
There
it?
is a question.
Is it a term of endearment?
Of course,
It
Mota
is.
Bhai. Of course, the Chief Minister is referring to our Honourable Home Minister as Mota Bhai.
Is it?
Have you not heard her saying Hodol Kutkut? Do you know? You also should know what Hodol Kutkut means. He's personally body shaming the Home Minister. Why? I'm not telling him Hodol Kutkut. I'm saying his language, his knowledge of the language of Bengali is definitely enough to understand Hodol Kutkut.
What?
Action which both Narendra Modi, Amit Shah, they afford Mamata Banerjee that opportunity, and Mamata Banerjee also affords that opportunity to the BJP because they don't want to talk about governance. Modi does not want to come to Bengal and say how he is performed in various sectors. Mamata doesn't want to speak to the people of Bengal on her parameters, what she's being successful on, why she's sunk the state into an 8 lakh crore, what you call debt trap. So these things, so they afford each other this. And at the same time, they are nice to each other. You have the BJP state president say, had he not been in the labor room, TMC would not have been born. So, these distractions are also accompanied by very flavorful comments by both the BJP and TMC in favor of them.
Okay.
We would rather have an election where the TMC speaks what it has done in terms of bringing industrialization and investment to West Bengal. We would like Narendra Modi to say that if he is promising 3,000 rupees to the youth of Bengal, then which other BJP states in India have actually delivered 3,000 rupees?
Respond to
per
that.
month?
In fact,
these
other
are the
comments
things that need to be discussed.
Other comments, when security forces come in, for instance, Baba Moitra says Operation Machi Bandh preparations in full swing. BJP and Ganesh get top brass of CIPF to Bengal to plan full military-style takeover. This is also, going in with the language, diverting from key issues by using this kind of language.
Like the Honorable Home Minister keeps saying, chronology samjhiye. That is exactly what our leaders have pointed out. But before I respond to this, I would like to point out that Dr. Halim says that we have not been speaking about development, neither have we been speaking about our welfare schemes. That is entirely wrong. That is entirely wrong. On two counts. I'll talk about...
West Bengal has been doomed at the hands of CPM for 34 years, and now the remaining whatever CPM has left to do.
I did not interrupt you, ma'am.
Destructively,
destructively
destroyed
I have not
Bengal.
interrupted anybody. I would expect
Yes, okay,
some.
Saurav, I'm sorry.
Let him make his point.
So, if you look at our social welfare schemes, we've been speaking about Konyasri, we have been speaking about Shastro Shati. No, that's all right. You may call it dole.
These are all dole politics. What did you do there? What did you do for these people of
Why are you
West
offering
Bengal
them
for
3,000
15
rupees?
years?
You are also doing dole
For 15
politics.
years, you did
Ma'am,
not
you
even,
are also doing
you
dole
did not
politics
need
then.
to start
The
these
state
dole
then.
politics.
You
Dole
also
politics have to be countered by dole politics. There is no other,
welfare scheme
there is
approved and
absolutely no
appreciated by the
other
United
alternative to
Nations.
dole politics.
Okay.
If
Let it
somebody
be appreciated by the
who has
United Nations,
spoiled them
ma'am.
to getting
Please understand.
1,500 rupees,
And now you're
so
doing nothing but
naturally we have
copying
to
it.
counter that.
1,500 rupees.
Now let him make his
What are we
point.
saying?
That is the
We
only
are saying
difference.
that we will start with 3,000.
This is the only, yes.
Then we
So
will
see-
make sure.
Okay,
accept
let
that
me come in
come
now.
to that level.
Let me come in now. And I think Saurav is the one who should be answering these questions. Where is the kind of developmental schemes? And, one factor I will tell you that what I've been picking up in the state of West Bengal, unemployment is a huge issue.
Right.
The lack of industrial development is a huge issue. And with the number of terms that your party has had in power, how have you been able to change things from the left era?
Let me give national data on this. The average unemployment rate in the country is roughly 4.5%. West Bengal is 3.5%. This is as per central data,
So you're
not
lower
my
than the
data.
national average.
I am lower than it. So the unemployment rate in Bengal is lower than the national average.
And how have you changed
And-
things around from the previous regime is my question.
Yes, exactly. So West Bengal, as it stands now, is the 6th largest economy in the country. This is as per central data. This is not my. In terms of total GDP, we are 6th. Right? When it comes to when it comes
respond.
to
Yeah.
when it comes to MSME, we are towards the top. I think within 1, 2, and 3. এরকম বললে হবে না।
No side debates. It's this issue. Yeah.
So, in terms of MSME, in terms of women-led MSME, we are number 1 in the country.
Okay.
And this is all as per central data. We have not manufactured it. So, to actually suggest that we have not gone to the people with our performance report card over the last 15 years, that is entirely wrong.
West Bengal economy is in great shape. That is your argument.
I'm
And
not saying not-
so what is your argument then?
No, my point is that there are a lot of things which remains to be done, but it is not that we've done nothing about it.
Okay.
Also,
One by one. Come to one. I'm going to come to each of you. One by one, please. Come to one. Let's go one by one.
On facts.
Yeah.
The
Doctor,
government of West Bengal set out a form for unemployed youth to be filled up. Okay. We have an electorate of less than 8 crore. How many people filled up that form? Almost 1 crore.
yes.
Okay, so your figures of unemployment do not match your government's
No, it's a
exercise in
different story
identifying
altogether.
unemployed. It's almost close to 12 to 14%. That is the figures of your government.
One by one. Yeah.
May I?
So why are you going to Narendra Modi and are seeking help on employment figures when Mamata Banerjee, her own figure says that unemployment is almost 14%?
Right. So let me
Answer that.
respond to
Answer
that.
that. That's a good
First,
question.
you
Answer
tell
that,
me,
please.
do you deny Mamata Banerjee's figures?
No, of course
That
not.
unemployment is 14%? Yeah.
Here,
So let's start
I think
from there.
Let's stick to this. We should not be mixing two issues. I'll tell you why. The scheme which you are speaking about is Jubo Shati, correct? Where people have lined up for that 1500 rupees which have been
As unemployed.
as unemployed.
Yeah.
Now, as unemployed. Now, if
That's
you
your
look
government's criteria. That's Mamata Banerjee's criteria.
Precisely. So if you look at the age group, the significant number which is actually enrolling for these schemes are around about the graduate stage.
No, 18 to 40 years.
Yes, so
40
that is
years it is
18.
to go.
Right, 18. No, I'm not talking about the 40-year-olds.
18 to 40.
I am talking about.
People who lined up.
So,
So then
please.
you don't know.
No.
18 years
Please
to
let
40
me
years.
finish.
They are the people who dare.
Please let me finish.
Okay.
So
But
when
please make
we
your
are,
point fast,
So when we are looking at these numbers, when we are talking about the age group, the significant group which is lined up is essentially between 18 to 25. Of course, the eligibility is still 40, and that is where the helping hand
it
of
is
the
a
government
fact.
comes
If
in.
1 crore
But-
people are applying, that's going to raise serious questions about how successful your government has been in providing employment to the youth. Kamru Zaman Chaudhary.
Basically, you see, this is exactly the point that Congress party has been debating on. Both these parties, very much insincere in solving the country's problems and the state's problem. You get into this data quagmire where who is getting how much, 4.5%, 3.5%. But let me just take you 15 years back. In 2011, when the entire state of West Bengal wanted the left parties to go, we rather aligned with the TMC. We brought in the alliance government in 2011 by removing the CPM government of 34 years. Those Trinamool leaders, those the block level leaders, the panchayat level leaders, who did not have even a motorcycle, even a bike also, or a cycle to roam about. Now they are roaming about in a Fortuner car or in a Scorpio. The basic, most important point is corruption has crept into West Bengal like like a cancer, which cannot be treated as of now until a change of governance happen. The most important question now, Trinamool needs to go, everybody knows. But is BJP the replacement for the Trinamool? That 90% of whom I am speaking to are saying no, BJP cannot be the
Okay, we'll
replacement
come to
of the
all of those
TMC.
points one by one, but it's very important. And in fact, what is very interesting to note is that it's Rahul Gandhi who's also raising the issue of corruption. While he attacks, of course, the central government in New Delhi on misuse of central agencies, attacking Mamata Banerjee on the issue of corruption. Of course, number of statements that he said in the course of this entire poll, which shows that the TMC and the Congress are, poles apart. And of course, the campaign on issues such as Epstein. But nevertheless, Ladri, I want you to answer that, because if TMC and the Congress are together at the India Alliance level, in the state level, Rahul Gandhi launching sharp attacks on Mamata Banerjee on corruption. It's not just BJP, but even the Congress, the alliance partner of TMC, that's doing that.
Rahul Gandhi, we all know he speaks full of sound and fury, but of no substance. We know this for a fact. Secondly, issues of corruptions coming from the Congress party. I think the least it is said is better. We all know who Suresh Kalmadi was and what happened. We all know that. But having said so, India Alliance Bloc is a bloc, united opposition, trying to fight the BJP juggernaut. We all know the BJP has its election machinery, well-oiled election machinery with money, muscle power and everything. And so we have to...
Fight against corruption, Rahul Gandhi pointed out this time that has reached your ears. But it was basically Congress party which filed a case in the Calcutta High Court against the Sharada scam. We exposed their corruption in the teachers SSC scam. Along with my left colleagues out here.
You did in Delhi with Aam Aadmi Party. You were the original complainants. Then you went back. Then you came together. Whether
No, Madhav, I
assembly
wish to
elections, the
reply on
Congress
this.
has changed its stand twice.
Everybody saw on
Madhav.
camera the mayor of Calcutta taking money, the ministers of Mamata Banerjee government taking money in the Narada scam. What happened to those investigating cases? Shatrupa must answer. Why the delay?
Those are all- I'll tell
During
you what
election
happened in
time,
these
you are
cases.
coming into the state with a
Kamruddin
horde of
sir,
ED,
let me
CBI,
answer-
income tax
let me
into the
answer you.
state and creating a perception that Mamata Banerjee's government, her ministers are all corrupt.
Okay.
But
Pradeep,
why?
I want Pradeep to come in now. Yeah, Pradeep, on this entire issue of corruption, neither side looks very like it has a very high moral ground, because you have the alliance partners fighting, and now, of course, Kamru Zaman Chaudhary asking what is the central government doing on these cases of corruption.
I'll come to the corruption. Before that, a couple of corrections. Number one, S.I.R issue is overplayed by Trinamool. 30 lakh names deleted. Forget 60 lakhs. They were not found or dead or transferred. 30 lakhs deleted. These are done by 700 judges. There can be errors. These are all document based. Let me assume 10% error, 3 lakh votes. What does it count in terms of percentage? Number one. You can say the person exists, but whether he is a fellow from supposed to be a citizen of this land is another issue. Let that be decided. Second is about all this industry, and I've been a business journalist all across, right? So I can catch this whataboutery at this is at my fingertips. You're saying GSDP. What does it mean by GSDP? You look at per capita income. You're saying maximum number of MSMEs. How does it mean MSMEs? What are the linkages? Sona steering is a MSME. Where are your MSMEs? I'm not picking up the chop issue, but these are small fellows making agarbattis. I mean, they don't count anywhere in today's world.
Keep the mic a little closer. Huh?
So these are, and about when you talk about poverty and employment, I mean, gone are those days when people were happy with 2 square meals a day. We are in the days of relative poverty. If, let's talk about agri wage. In North Bengal, it is 150 rupees. In South Bengal, it is 250 rupees. My friend is in Karnataka. My friend in Gujarat, they are paying for Bengali labor 700, 900. That is called relative poverty. You have a absolute. It's a land of absolute desperation. Why the hell are people going all across? Whenever a trawler goes down in Kerala, you will see most of the times the names comes up are Bengalis. Okay, so that's a shame. Now back to the.
Let's just get a response on that, because I think you've made a number of very good points. Ladri, respond to that. Relative poverty. You talk about economy being very well. If it's so well, why is there so much of mass migration happening out of Bengal, like from other states? And I think he has a very important point when he talks about people not getting adequate employment opportunities, which is precisely why they're going to other states.
Madhav, I'll tell you, there was a book by a very well-written author, Shankar. The book was Kolkata Ache Kolkatate. Where Calcutta is, Calcutta stays there. This is a state, or this is a city where today, if you go out from your house with 50 rupees in hand, you can travel the whole city. You can just let me finish. Just let me finish it.
You wanted to make it
And
now you're
you
saying
can have lunch properly
This is the
and come back
problem.
home. This is a relatively affordable city. This is not a city. The aspirations of the city. I understand people may aspire to let me have a Rolls Royce, let me have a Mercedes.
Then why did you tell them that you're making London?
No,
Why did you tell
a
the
minute.
people of Kolkata that
Just
you're
a
making
minute,
London?
just a minute. So the question is, people here are satisfied with what we
Ladri,
have.
If you no. See, that is a big
We
problem. That is a very problematic statement. The youth of the place.
And the youth are not satisfied
Yes.
being unemployed. And Mamata Banerjee in 2011, along with my Congress friends, had made a promise to the people of West Bengal that she's going to provide 2 crore jobs, which was buttressed by Narendra Modi in 2014 when he says every year he's going to provide 2 crore jobs. So you have to understand that this what you call top, what we say in Bengali is the what you call lure of jobs, is something that the BJP and what you call TMC has played themselves out. We are promising that in 2006 the left had actually orchestrated the Manrega law. We gave 100 days job to every family in which employment was non-existent. We are trying to increase that, and you should have done it in 20 years. The BJP and the Trinamool Congress was in power for 6 years.
Who is
For 6 years.
after
20 years,
34
2006, 2026.
You see all
Manrega has not moved
you
from
see
100
all
days to
these
200
closed
days.
industries. If the
200
camera
days to
turns around
300
and
days.
sees all this closed industry, you are to be blamed for it. You have taken the state to the doldrums, and we are trying desperately to come out of it. It is you. We are desperately trying to come out of this. But you have taken up you have made us fall into an abyss. You have made us fall into an abyss.
One second.
You chased away industry that was supposed to come to West Bengal. And
What about
you
Nandigram?
only say
What about
you have done
Singur?
in
Nandigram and
these 7
Singur.
years.
Niladri, Nandigram and Singur. One second. One by one.
Mamata Banerjee fought on the issue that you do not take away the fertile land. You don't
new
take away the
industry
fertile
have
land.
you-
industry did you
Don't
bring?
take the
New
fertile
industry
land.
Which industry did you bring? One by one. Which industry did you bring?
The fertility of the land. She was not opposed
Even
to
if we allow for that, which industry did you successfully bring is the question he's asking you. Respond to him.
Madhav, please understand the mentality
If you
what they
accept
had
you've
made
not
in
brought
Bengal,
any industry,
of the
then that's
trade
good
union,
enough.
of the militant
That's
trade
an admission
unionism,
of failure.
by which Bengal
That's
had
an
lost
admission
its
of
soul.
failure.
One second. Just a second, please. Just a second. Niladri, you surely cannot argue that because of the so-called alleged militant trade unionism that the left did, in 15 years you could not undo it, sir. That is a very long period. Very few governments get such a long period of governance.
We have done it.
In these days,
One moment. Keep coming to each of you.
in these days, when you keep asking Modi why, I mean, rightly, whether he said that, he didn't do that. I mean, 15 years, come on, 15 years is too long. In the long term, we all are dead. So how does it matter what you will do in 58 years? So, let me give you a quick example, and you can relate to it. In 2000, between 2000, we all know there had been a real resurgence between 2004 and 2008 in West Bengal. The good times. There were 140 plus business journalists in Calcutta. All top media across the world had their bureau in Calcutta. Today, even all bureaus are wound up. Some people have kept one person lowly. Otherwise, mostly they haven't kept anyone. It all means that you stand nowhere in the
Larger landscape.
I mean, you stand nowhere.
Make out here.
Second problem is that you asked me about corruption. Look, corruption is everywhere, whether it is in USA, whether in Delhi, or whether in Calcutta. I don't argue. I'm a very realistic person, right? So if I'm going to get, I also
You
do.
expect if the BJP government comes, the corruption will again come?
No, please. I mean, we cannot talk on future. We cannot talk on what doesn't exist.
Okay, let him make his point. You can rebut him. Let him
We
make his
cannot
point.
talk on what doesn't exist.
what-
So come to the point. What is the point you are making?
So corruption can be there. Now, problem is in West
Chota
Bengal.
corruption, bada corruption.
West Bengal, corruption has been retained. So it starts right from your para. The moment you try to do something, whether it is you are buying some bricks or what, I mean, during CPM era, the syndicates, and the grip has only increased. So you can't really move. For every damn thing you have to pay.
Okay.
And this is, by the way, is the biggest grievance against TMC at the rurals in this election. If
Corruption.
TMC,
Corruption is the biggest issue in this election, according to you?
Definitely one of the major issues. In fact, our Honorable Prime Minister and the Home Minister repeatedly said that Abhishek Banerjee is the king of syndicate, kingpin of syndicate. So this is something that we are definitely going to target to break down. And what Niladri was saying, ji ulta latka ke ki sidha kar dungi, those are the people that the Honorable Home Minister has targeted. And I'm sure the people of Bengal will also
But he
be
was
very
talking about
happy.
goons. When he said that yesterday, he was referring to goons.
Goons who are the...
He did not use the word corrupt to the best of my information. Did he use the word corrupt?
No, but then what he's saying is, ulta latka
Sadhguru,
ke... One second.
One
Just
question to you.
let me
I have
finish.
one question
Just
to
let
you.
me finish
You
this.
finish and I have one
Yeah,
question.
thank you. No, goons, yes, but these goons are the ones who are running the syndicate. So we are definitely going to target the syndicate, entire racket we're going to break, and the goons, the people who have created this nonsense hardship on people and attacked them, this whole fear psychosis, the people who have created that, those are the people who will now have to pay once our government
Okay,
comes in.
I'm going to
Let's
come to you in
go
just a moment. For just a second, I want Saurabh to come in on this. Saurabh, you have to respond because, serious allegations of corruption, allegations that, it is that the Home Minister was referring to. And also, he says that corruption has percolated down to the lowest levels, which is why there's a lot of groundswell of resentment among the people of the state. Respond.
So one question to you, ma'am, is this, that you spoke about Abhishek Banerjee being the kingpin. That is the allegation which has been put forward. Now, the ED interrogated him. Why haven't you taken any measures against him?
Hang on, wait.
The
The
ED,
story
the
is not over
CBI, entirely is in your hand, and you've been trying to...
So is the case closed? Is the case against him closed or it's active?
That's my
that shouldn't
point.
be able to answer, because
You
the
should tell-
caged
I
parrot...
said it,
Okay.
we haven't reached the last
case-
chapter of the book.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Lakhs and lakhs of people who had given money to the chit funds, very poor people who were saving 5 rupees per day. When Narendra Modi came to Calcutta in the first week of April and said he's going to take very strong action against the Trinamool people and those people involved in financial irregularities like chit fund, on the 8th of April, Sudipto Sen, the main organizer of Sharada Kand, walked out on bail. You have to understand.
On bail.
Yeah, he walked out.
On bail.
What after 13
On
years,
bail.
the Narendra Modi government could not,
Just a
could
second. What is the
not,
exact
could
allegation?
not close
Fuad, what is the exact charge?
200 people committed suicide. Understand the level of corruption, the impact socially.
One second, please. One by one. We'll go one by one.
200 people committed suicide in the Sharada financial scam.
Okay.
13 years, Sudipto Sen, the kingpin, has been in jail. The ED, the CBI has not been able to do anything.
Okay.
It's a farce when Narendra Modi comes to Bengal and says that he's going to take action against corruption.
I got your point. Why have central agencies failed to actually
Article.
take the prosecution to its logical conclusion? It's been hanging fire for a decade and a half. Why no action yet is their question.
I know, Madhav, there are very many mega series that you watch for some 10 decades. I don't think we have to watch watch the next episode for another 10 decades. It's probably just another few days. Let's wait. Government will change. And then you will see the last chapter very soon.
Okay.
Nobody is troubling me. Nilati, talk for yourself. No one's troubling me.
Behind his pocket. And that is the only
No
reason
one's
why the
troubling
Nalanda
me.
investigation is not...
That also.
So you're saying it's a whitewash. It is in fact a whitewashing.
You have to prosecute Nalanda, you have to prosecute Shubhendu Adhikari also.
Okay, so washing machine charge once again. Sure.
No, that they can say. We've always maintained that we have a very high level of a washing machine. We like to
High
keep
level of a washing machine.
Very high.
You're admitting it.
I said we have such a
Yes.
high level of washing machine that our ideology is so clear and so clean that whoever wants
No,
to
no, but
join
I
us
think-
first have to be clean, and then they will join
No,
politics.
but smart
Let's
aleck, one
follow-
second.
One second.
Smart
I'll
aleck
answer your
comments
question.
about this has very
I
serious
will-
repercussions.
I
And
will tell
you know, I will just advise you, because this is, when it comes to issue of corruption, I don't think one should speak so lightly. It is a charge that whether it is Maharashtra, whether it is Bengal, whether it's other states, that leaders who are facing corruption charges, they join the BJP, and those charges by those agencies are dropped. This is the charge that TMC, Congress, etc. makes against you.
So, Madhav, I think
One by one,
Madhav,
please,
I
one
have
by one.
answered this very question to you on your show some months earlier, that the Home Minister, the Honourable Home Minister, has said in Parliament that whoever may join us, the process of law will go on. Law will take its own course. So, like I said, don't close the book yet. We haven't yet reached the last chapter.
Okay, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, basically you see what Shatrupa ji is saying right now is just wishful thinking, because she does not know what Amit Shah and Narendra Modi are going to plan next. Who are they going to project as the Assam's next chief minister? One of the most corrupt and communal bigoted chief minister I've seen. That is Himanta Biswa Sharma. Leave that aside. Madhav, the most important point that you are missing out here is the center-state relationship that is there between Narendra Modi's government and Mamata Banerjee's government, and how the poor of the state are suffering. Let me cite you an example. Congress brought the Rajiv Gandhi Awas Yojana. It was changed to PM Awas Yojana by Narendra Modi. In Bengal, it was changed to Banglar. What was the name? Something Banglar Badi or something. Something like that. Now what happened is that Narendra Modi says, until you change this name of the scheme to PM Awas Yojana, we are not going to sanction you any funds. Mamata Banerjee says, if you want to fund us, you have to fund under this name. Now a poor man of the villages where there is multi-dimensional poverty, you have to, many of your Noida, Jhalburi colleagues must have found out there what's happening exactly.
What is that supposed to mean?
I'll come to that.
Please explain that.
Because a lot of your...
Let's not pass such slides. Please explain that, because I don't think that is a correct phrase to use.
Basically, someone journalist I saw the other day on her Twitter handle, she landed at the Calcutta airport and she is declaring like the air is full of jhalburis. The smell of jhalburi is coming in the air.
Come on.
So that's why I called her
I think that's taking it a bit too far. You can attack the BJP, you can attack the TMC, and you can attack your own party colleagues, some of whose statements I don't think even you agree with. But let's not take it out on the media. I think that's going below the belt. But let me bring in the TMC to the larger substantial point that you made, that when it comes to whether it's Manrega, other central government schemes, between this politics of TMC and BJP, the people of the state are suffering because of the politics that Mamata Banerjee and TMC is playing out.
Despite the fact that 1.98 lakh crore rupees have been stalled by the centre, we have tried our level best to keep continuing these schemes. Like we spoke about Banglar Badi. My friend from the Congress may have a problem with the nomenclature of the same, but he cannot deny the fact that these homes have been given out and the state has given its share. So these schemes have continued. Now thank you for giving me an opportunity finally to speak, because there have been a barrage of allegations which have come my party's way. Just one small thing I would like to point out, again going back to what Dr. Halim was saying, that we have not gone to the people with our report card. That is something which he has cast against us, this allegation. I would specifically urge him through you to kindly focus on the manifesto, which again I don't want to get into the S.I.R controversy. Again, the BJP has got very little to say other than Hindu and Muslim, so I'll not get into the S.I.R.
Answer the question. Answer the
So
question.
the
Come back to
point
question.
is, if you would have gone through our 88-page manifesto, it would have been abundantly clear that the pitch that we are using for these elections is essentially threefold. One is our performance report card based on the developmental work that we have done. Two, the kind of mass disenfranchisement which has taken place at the
We have discussed that. But I want to bring in Pratim on the larger point. Yeah. Okay. Very quickly, your response.
As a citizen of West Bengal and as a voter of West Bengal, I don't want to read the Trinamool manifesto. I want the government of West Bengal to come across with the facts. Number one, my allegation is the Department of Health has stopped publishing its statistics regarding its performance since 2018. Health on the March, the document which actually says how many people have had dengue in West Bengal, how many people have been treated in this hospital, how many beds have been occupied in the entire year, used to come out till 2018, after which Mamata Banerjee has stopped publishing it. So there is no document there. Number two, the Department of Commerce and Industries used to publish what is the amount of investment coming into West Bengal, which has stopped since the last 10 years. It is not tabled in the floor of the assembly. It is not available to the people of West Bengal. So we do not know at this point of time what amount of investment is coming. Now what is published in the Trinamool manifesto is the domain of the Trinamool. I don't want any. I want the government to report to the people of West Bengal, to be transparent, to publish statistics, and please, if you're not doing it, then you've got something to hide, and that's the allegation I make.
Unfortunately, since you don't have since you don't have MLAs in the Legislative Assembly, perhaps you are not getting access to the government records in the floor of the House.
Have an MLA, that's the most pathetic attitude that a government can have.
I think Pratim should come in on this. Pratim, this charge, once again, one by one. How much of this charge is really held out by the facts? He says that the government is less than transparent because of issues of governance itself. Do you agree with that contention?
To some extent, yes. Because you may remember the issue about that audit reports, right, which was raised by Ashok Lahiri. So for many years it was due. So I think this is, in fact, I have been hearing this time and again about the health. I personally don't track, but surely the data dissemination level has dropped in West Bengal. This is a real issue.
Okay.
I fully appreciate that what Trinamool, I agree to that extent to his point, that Trinamool is saying its part is okay, but the government must say what it has done. So, insofar as Trinamool manifesto is concerned, my only problem is that the manifesto is an extension of the budget document. So, what she says at the budget, this is repeated in the manifesto is like we are. It is not because BJP said it, but I was so happy that after 20 years after Buddha Babu, industry was back into the agenda, that we are going to do 4 hubs, and these are the places where we are going to do this. Now we want that kind of things from a party on development.
Respond. Saurabh, respond.
So from what I've gathered is that any data which is put out by the central government is sacrosanct. Any data which we put out is all rubbish.
No, he said
that's
we want specifics of the government plans. He said specifics of the government plans. That's what everyone has been saying.
2014, the Industries Commerce Department has not put out any data as to what is the investment level, what is the proposed intended investment, nothing. Health, 2018 last. There is no data. We are in a no data situation. Specifically, I'm not saying that the central government data is good.
So there are tricks of to get the investment, but the specifics of that investment, how it will come in, where it will be used, a lot, in fact, that is at stake over here.
Spain
Okay.
announces an industry right back in Behala. So let's not even talk about the foreign trips.
All right.
She walks backwards like the rest.
We're completely out of time. Completely out of time on this edition of the national debate. I'd like to thank all our panelists for joining us. Kamaruzaman Chaudhary, Shatrupa, Fuad Halim, as well as Saurav Chandar, Pratim Ranjan Bose and Niladri Bhattacharya. All eyes on what will happen as far as this West Bengal election is concerned. We brought you an overview of what really the main key political issues are, but what will the people decide? That's something that we'll only know on the 4th of May. Thanks so much for joining us.